guys, these two games against Montana and Montana State, coming off that Weber State game, I think really showed kind of your guys' mettle, your experience to come away with two huge victories after that 18-point loss to Weber State. What do you guys think about this weekend?
I just think we stepped it up in practice this week. That's where it first starts off at. I mean, when we get to the games, if you're not ready to go, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But I guess just during the week, we locked back in on Monday and kind of just got locked in with film and kind of just we rested on Monday and kind of just like I said, locked in with film and got back on Tuesday and went live and just went hard at it. And just the urgency you could see in guys is like their approach and practice was a lot different this weekend. It was the same like when we came back from Christmas break. It was just we got to get back to where we were like after the break.
I think with those guys, they had a phenomenal January. Montana shooting the basketball, and I thought you guys paid attention to detail in the scouting reports. Seemed like you guys knew everything they was going to do as well. Your attention was up. But the defensive side of the basketball, you guys have really matured on the defensive side. Talk about that effort today.
I really the big two priorities was Deshaun Thomas and Moody, and Thomas started off hot with 3 step back mid-range like shots. So we were living with those. He had tough shots. He's a good player, but really just keying in on Moody and chasing him around the whole court. He don't get tired. He runs around like Klay Thompson and can make anything from any angle. So really just keying in on those guys. 2 guys is really the biggest thing. And like guys, like I said, like those are the 2 main scorers. And last time we played them, Whitney had 24 points. So that's important tonight. I think he had, I don't know how much he had. He had 7 points. So that's big for us. No guy really went off on us other than Moody, and he's gonna do what he does. And after that, down the line, I feel like we zoned in on everybody else.
When you build a lead that gets to 29, you know this team is going to make a run like that. Talk about a little bit of effort on the defensive glass there in the second half. I think they had 11 offensive rebounds in the second half. What do you guys have to do to clean that up moving forward?
I think it starts with practice. We just got to go hard in every drill that we do, offense and defense.
I would say, for me, I get stuck in the zone. Like if I get a bucket, I'm doing something, and then they were down the court the other end. So I think just staying focused and next play mentality, just get back, and that's when we started fouling. But just like they said, just little details. Check out. We know Moody's shooting the ball, so if he misses, most of the time he's not gonna miss short. He's gonna miss long, and just kind of they had long rebounds, and we gotta check box out and go get the rebound instead of letting it come to us.
Guys, how does this game rank? I don't see you in every single game, but how does this game rank top to bottom in complete game this season? Look pretty darn good to me, but certainly I don't see the game the way you guys do.
I think this is maybe especially first half, definitely one of our best offensive games. Just kind of getting back to our groove, and everybody shooting the ball at all different areas of the floor, and just getting to their spots. They got to his spots early. Really all night. I've been struggling for the past couple weeks, and I kind of just feeling it for myself. And I know Rye got to his spots. We look connected tonight more than ever than in the past 2 weeks, and we just gotta keep it going.
What about defensively?
I say defensively,
Was it there?
I think it was there. Just like I said, Moody was running off screens. If he was doing that, we would switch. I think we were just high alert on everybody, and second half we kind of backed down a little bit because we, like our coach says, is it human nature? Yeah. Human nature kicks in, and kind of just our human nature gotta be just keep zoning in. Don't let we're up 29. Who cares? Just keep playing, and what if we get up 49? That's the difference of the game. So.
I thought your defensive effort was superb. You held a team that's among the nation leader field goal percentage, like you guys did yourself as well. Second half, at one point, he was holding to 27% shooting from the floor as well. talk about guys like Zach Block, who I think is the Marcus Smart of you guys' basketball team. Talk about what he brings to the table with those type of players who go unnoticed, but is very important to you guys.
He brings a lot of energy on the defensive end. It starts with practice. Scout team helps us out a lot. They just run around, so he definitely helps us out a lot.
I love playing with Zach. I mean, he's a junkyard dog. He's not. I mean, other than Day, he might be the smallest guy on the court.
Yeah, facts.
But he's not scared to put his nose in the play. And I mean, he's maybe had 5 nosebleeds in 1 year. Man, that might be the most in NCAA basketball this year. But he's not scared to put his nose in the play, and he'll take it. And I mean, guys, if they hit tough buckets, is really on Zach. And I think he did a great job on Moody tonight. Even though he had 24, he took 22 shots. I think he did great.
I agree. Hard 24.
Definitely.
The guy sitting next to you, the best player in the league coming off the bench. I mean, the stat line the last 3 halves, 15 to 23, 3 for 5 from 3, 37 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists over the last 3 halves.
Oh,
Is he
yeah.
the best coming off the bench?
Oh, yes. We call me Little Carmelo and little AI. But I say, man, we can't forget Day was the top, like I said, he was the top 5 scorers in the league at one point. So, I mean, this is what he does. He makes tough shots. He knocks them down, and I mean, that's what he brings to the table.
Is it more amazing if you're sitting on the bench watching him throw it high off the glass or being on the court with him? Which one's more impressive?
On the court with him, because I get to celebrate with him after he makes a bucket.
I want you to Google Andrew Toney.
Andrew Toney?
I want you to Google you,
Yeah.
Andrew Toney, and Benny Johnson.
All right.
Just Google it.
I'm going to do that
Watch.
after this. I got you.
I almost made the microwave reference.
I got your face back.
I
I'm gonna
almost
say
made the
microwave. I'm gonna say microwave on broadcast. I said, yeah, I have no idea.
I almost made it too.
You might gotta write it down. I might forget.
I'll write it down.
All right, thank you.
You talked about it, saying, I think you just said something about emotional play, and there were a couple, I'm gonna get the order wrong here, a couple emotional plays. I think DeJure hit a layup, and maybe right before that was Langston's jam.
Yeah.
And Langston, bricked a couple of those jams the other night, but he hit it tonight. And the crowd kind of got into the game at various points.
Yes.
How do you guys react to that? What's that like on the floor when there's just energy like that, and guys are making?
Yeah, I feel like with the group we play with, when we get like making shots and we're playing with a lot of energy and everybody on the bench is lit, like we're hard to stop. Like, and we just get on runs and like we get in the zone to where you can't really stop us we get into ISOs a day. It's fun playing with these guys, and just like I feel like I said at the beginning, everybody's selfless on this team. If somebody scores a bucket, everybody else is jumping up. It's just no selfishness on this team at all.
And speaking of that, we can attest to that. There was a sequence in the game where the ball moved so many times that I say it sums up your play this afternoon pretty much. The ball went from one side foot. You passed up a 3 and gave it to Reynolds inside for the easy layup.
Yeah.
That sums up the afternoon. That sums up how you guys are
Exactly.
as a team.
And I think that's the definition of our team, man. Like, I know some games, like last week, you could kind of tell we were a lot stale with the ball. And this week, just like swing, pump fake to a dime to Langston. That's fun basketball. Everybody wants to play that way. Everybody touch the ball, and as we call .5 basketball, man. Nobody can guard that in the nation. So
It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about when it was going around the key, bouncing all over. Yeah.
Ball had a lot of energy.
Yep,
That's
a lot of
what
movement.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously just a phenomenal, fantastic win and weekend to get that sweep. Against 2 really good teams, two teams that have big time winning traditions. They're not just good teams, but you got to beat the tradition as well. And it's like I told the guys at halftime when we were up big. I said you have to understand about 3 things. 1, they scored 50 points in the first half against NAU. They are talented. 2, this is the oldest team in America. They are the oldest team in America. 3, it's the winningest coach in the history of our league. So right now, he's going to get after those guys at halftime, and they're not young. They're going to respond. Like, they're going to come out. You're going to have to fight their best shot. And the first 5 or so minutes, we got a little squirrely in the second half, but we also were scoring. Stretched the thing out. I'm proud. I know it went from 29 or whatever down to 12, but we stretched it out. Really stretched it out and gave us a huge cushion. And then when it did get to the point in time where it was a 12-point game or whatever with about 4 minutes left, that's still a lot of basketball left now. People go back 3 years, Southern Utah here, who was a phenomenal team. They had us down 30, we won. 30 with maybe 9 minutes left, and we won that game. Crazy things can happen. So, point being, when it got to about 12, I thought we did a good job of, okay, calm down, let's execute, and we found a way to get it done and finish it off. But I'm just really proud of the guys on an individual and on a team level. I thought the approach, the focus was good. Kind of challenged them after the Montana State game in the locker room after that game on Thursday. And I said, hey, I'm happy we won, no doubt about it. But we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard. There's more in us because we've already shown it. We've shown it the last 8, 9, 10 games, where we can get to, and we're not there right now. Montana State, Weber State, Idaho State could have lost all 3 of those. And so luckily we won 2 of those 3, but it's don't get fooled by that scoreboard. It can be a imposter. And I think they took the message right, and I thought they really responded yesterday in practice, and I thought we just were really dialed in today.
You made mention the other night, just having the one day to prepare for the oldest team in America. Tough task, but you guys came out and I thought played not just your best offensive half that we've seen, but I think defensively, 29 points to hold this team to. I think they shot, was it 46% in the first half, but you turned them over, you limited them. Just an all-out performance that first 20 minutes. Talk about the mindset coming in today. Yeah,
I think not only are they the oldest team, but they also were coming in here off a 30-point win at Northern Arizona, who just beat Montana State. And so they went on the road and they just beat a team by 30 in a place that's actually really hard to win at. Flagstaff's not easy to win at. And so it's okay, these guys are playing with confidence. They're playing with a lot of, if you go back to 2 nights ago, it's ooh, they look really good. I mean, they could do anything they want in that game. So I think just the approach and the preparation was great. I think the confidence is probably what I'm most proud of on both ends of the floor because we looked a little bit shook the last 2 or 3 games. Kind of just holding on, right? And so I thought we just looked in this game, especially that first half, to get that lead. That looked like the team that was up 47-24 on Denver. The team that went to North Dakota, who's leading the Summit League and won by 15. Looked like that team. And so I thought just our confidence and, the kids call it swagger, right? I thought the swagger was really good. So, and then defensively, we were awesome. The offense is cool. We know we're talented. But defensively, to hold that team, which is the number 1 team in the league offensively, not named the Bears, and we held them to 39% from the field. That's big time.
You've been preaching that all year, and I know the numbers have started to go in the trend that you want. But I want to talk about turnovers, because you talked about that the other night. Still some unfortunate errors tonight. How do you clean that up over the last 4 weeks of the season?
Yeah, I think we only had at halftime, I can't remember if anyone has that stat sheet, but at halftime it was really low. It was 4, right?
Yep.
It was, to me, it was a product of being up 25 and some really, for lack of a better term, some really stupid turnovers in about a 5-8 minute stretch where not terrible ideas, but didn't really need to try the stuff based off the lead. But in the first half, we didn't turn it over. And you only had 4 of them, and that's where you get that. We had 4 turnovers, 10 assists on 18 made shots. It was a beautiful thing. But you're right, you got to learn how to play with the lead too. And I thought the majority of those turnovers was when the game stretched itself out.
I think, Coach, sometimes when you look at preparation, we talk about preparation. Talk about who scout this was, who put together the scout report, because sometimes that goes so unappreciated.
Well, yeah.
Behind the scenes and game plan and watching films and putting it together. So, I was watching doing my broadcast and your coach was standing up, and I love that because I'm a former. Talk about the coaches and how hard they work to prepare their.
I'm glad you bring that up, Daryl. Yeah, so I've been an assistant as well. 10 of my 20 years in coaching has been an assistant, and so the way that everyone does it different, but the way that we do it is every 3rd game, give or take, is a different assistant of Houston Reed, Dorian Green, Brett Clofield. It's their scout, and then we got some support system with Coach Campbell, Coach Goz, but it's that's their baby, and I give those assignments out at the start of the year. And so, you go back to Montana State, that was Brett Clofield's scout. And then tonight it was Dorian Green. So the way it happens is we get done with the game Thursday, and I get in there and I'm all disoriented and adrenaline's through the roof, and Coach Green gives me a packet and gives me a little thumb drive with about 90 gigs of data with games and cut-ups and stuff, and it's just so intricate. And then I don't meet him until 11:30 the next day. I need that night till late in the night. I need that next morning with no distractions. I don't come in. I'm locked into my house and just dialing into Montana. At 11:30, we spent an hour together just talking about the Grizz. Like, hey, what's the plan? What do we think? And so he's got 90% of it done. I might have a couple little wrinkles to say, hey, what do you think about this? But he's the expert. And so, we get a plan. At 12:30, when I meet with the rest of the staff, he goes with the scout team. He starts working through the scout stuff so that when we go to practice at 2, it's already done. So people don't understand what it is behind the scenes. But with this particular scout, Coach Green did a great job of it. I thought our plan to, have Brock be a switch guy because that's his strength. But then when Theo came and we changed the ball screen coverage, and I felt like they were on their heels all night long. They didn't know what to do. And I think Brandon Whitney's a great player, and he's actually their leading scorer. And putting a guy like Saint on him all night long and not allowing him to get switched off of him, and we did that up there too. And that was a big deal because you're not going to finish over Saint. But what they do, and they did it the first play of the game, they tried to hunt matchups 2 times in a row, and they attacked Zach or Jaron, and we're not going to switch. And so we have our own little Steph Curry stuff, and keep Saint on him, we're not switching. And when it gets to that point in time when our guys really buy into it, now you got to go attack Saint, and that's a different type of deal. So, yeah, Coach Green did a great job on that scout, and all those guys, the work behind the scenes, unless you're in the profession, no one knows, but it is hours and days and weeks, and it's a lot of work.
Well, you let them go home and then.
Oh, yeah.
When I was assistant, we stayed.
No. We got to have some balance, too, so we got laptops.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the basketball. I thought the game plan on the defensive side was excellent. He was running what we call a Y trap and sometimes an X trap, but the rotation after the trap was tremendous.
Yeah.
Reed came up with a couple steals.
Yeah.
That really kind of confused them a little bit. They wasn't expecting that as well.
Yeah.
Talk about your defensive effort and how much it
So that was the other thing, is that the ball string coverage is one thing with Brock and Theo being different. Now, we're going to double the post quite a bit, especially with Brock in there because he's a little undersized. And they are very well coached. And even going back when I was with Coach Leonard, Coach Secure's been there forever. And we decided to double the post 7 years ago. And maybe 8, I think it was 8 years ago. And they put their best shooter as the guy feeding the ball, and they knew we were going to run in from the feeder. And that guy ran right to the corner. Before we could get out of it, they hit 3 threes. We were down 9-0. Game was over at their place. In game 1, we had some success doubling, but we also gave up multiple threes on the same thing. And so the goal tonight was, if you really look at it, is that instead of us just rapidly going in there, we felt like Deshaun Thomas, who's a great player, and Oki, and then really Tajon Sawyer off the bench, who's really good, talented player. We felt like they're not in a huge rush when the ball's fed, that we can hold ground and resist, and when they put that ball in the bounce, we now have the 2-second delay to shove that guy in on the double. So what you saw from DeJour is that even though we weren't rotating, we were anticipating the rotation. We all knew what it was. And so DeJour, it's just a little different thing when that big starts dribbling, and now the press comes, or the trap comes. And DeJour, you're right, he made 2 of those in the first half, and we probably got 4 or 5 of those throughout the course of the game. I thought that was a huge deal to make a 1-second adjustment. And that's how big it is.
Coach, underrated stat. We talked about DeJour's unselfishness. 10-3 since y'all made the switch due to his injury.
Yeah.
Is he underrated, or is he still one of the best players in the league?
Oh, everyone knows he's one of the best players in the league, and I think, like you said, since the switch, since the injury, we've played at a really high level. We're chasing the championship, and he understands that too. But it doesn't go to the point of saying he's just as good now as he was then. And to be honest, the other thing that's kind of a big deal is that people say, well, Zach's in for DeJour. No. We'll play all 3 of those guys. And if people really watch us closely, we're playing all 3 of those guys, Jaron, Zach, and DeJour together. And the question is, are we big enough to do it with those 3? And I think so far, at least, the results have said yes, we can do that because they all bring so many tremendous things to the table and they all play so well together. And so we're still learning our team. We're still a brand new team. I mean, we had 8 new guys, and so we're still learning the whole thing. But every couple of weeks, we find just a little bit more of a tweak, and it's really helping us out.
You mentioned that, I think one of the rotations was Brock, Langston, and the 3
Yep.
guards, George, Zach, and Jared. Just kind of a new wrinkle that you can add with that
Sure.
small kind of death lineup, as you
Yeah.
can call it, with the perimeter shooting from those guys.
Yep.
How do you continue to advance and find different wrinkles like that?
Yeah, I think I think the game presents things when you study it and you watch it. You start to say, well, this actually might work. Like we found a couple different ways. One of the hardest things with DeJour too is that he is elite getting on his right hand. Well, the way that we run things, we put him in the right corner. You can't get on your right hand. So little wrinkles to get him to the middle of the floor, and then also we did it in the first half. I think we did it 3 times in a row, where he gets to the middle of the floor, and then we create a switch. And then he attacks a big guy still with plenty of space to get back to his right hand. And so we're still learning little ways, and it keeps me up at night just trying to draw things up and trying to find it might be one wrinkle, but that one wrinkle might help us win a game. And so that's why this thing's fun. It's because there's always something else you can do and try to figure out. But yeah, when Lane came in, Saint got those fouls. I said, Lane, you're the 4 now. And he forgets to take the ball out because he just doesn't do it much, but he can handle it. So he had one of the biggest stops of the game, one-on-one with Deshaun Thomas, when they started getting close, and Langston's guarding one-on-one on that right block, and he held his ground. So yeah, guys are stepping up.
Steve, what does this weekend tell you, these 2 wins?
I think it tells us that we're a good team, and we got 5 of our last 7 on the road. It's going to be a challenge, but I think we're just as good of a road team as we are a home team. I mean, you don't go into Montana and win if you're not good. You don't go to Idaho and beat them by 20-some if you're not good, and so on and so forth. But I think it validates that we also can take a punch, and we got punched a week ago against Weber State. We can take a punch and we can get right back off that mat. And you need to do that if you're going to put yourself in the best situation, have the best seeding going into Boise. When you get to Boise, you got to win them all. But to get to Boise and have the best chance, you have to get the best seeding. And I thought we really responded after a tough night 1 week ago against Weber State.
You talk about that, top 2 seeds play on Sunday, then they get a day off. And that's what you talked about, wanting to get those top 2 seeds.
Yeah.
How big was it to push
Yeah.
Montana down 2 games? You got a 2-game cushion now,
Yeah.
7 to go.
Yeah, and I really want to get a top 6 seed to start with, because if you get a top 6 seed, you only got to win 3 games as opposed to 4. So that's the baseline. And again, there's a lot of season left to be played. There's a lot of teams floating around 2 to 7. So you want to get a top 6 seed, but you're right. If you can get a 1 or 2 seed, if your juice is right, you're playing a team when they just had a battle the first night, you should have that energy in the second night to give yourself the best chance to win, and then you get a day off. And so if you can get through that first round, which is not easy to do. Last year, Eastern Washington won the league by a landslide. They got beat in the first round. So it's not easy to do it, but if you can get through it, now you put yourself in a situation to make a run.